Sukrigar friends, and welcome back to the channel. Gung Ho Guns here, your slightly obsessed Ashes of Creation fan and tester. In today's video, I'm giving you my unfiltered review of Ashes of Creation after 4 weeks in Alpha 2. I've spent over 100 hours in this game, and frankly, I've also been following it since Kickstarter. So you can say I'm in deep. We'll go over the pros, the cons, and the bits that'll make you want to flip a table over. So grab a drink, sit back, and let's get into Ashes together. Will you be playing Ashes of Creation when it comes out? Then consider joining our Mando community. We're gearing up to compete on all fronts and are looking for great people to join us. Discord info will be in the description below. One final plug here, I promise I'm grinding to 20k subs, and I'd really appreciate if you guys hit that subscribe button, but of course only if you enjoyed the video, so let's get into it. Thank you guys so much again for being here. It's been 4 weeks now of testing Ashes of Creation, and honestly, it's been a ride. There were moments where I wanted to pull my hair out, and then there were times where I was giggling like a little kid with my friends after a crazy battle. So let's dive right in. First, I'll go over the pros, the things that I really enjoyed in this game so far, and then of course, we'll go over the cons as well because we keep it at 100% real here. Really quick note before I dive in, I apologize for the footage of this video. I had to pull from my older recordings because for some reason, the video I recorded specifically for this got corrupted. Technology, right? Anyway, let's move on to the pros. The first pro I would say is the world itself. The world that Intrepid has created is honestly amazing. Keep in mind that this is still Alpha 2. Normally in alphas, everything looks a bit rough around the edges because the devs tune things down to focus on bug testing. But even with that, I found myself riding around on my horse, gathering materials and just staring at the scenery like a tourist seeing a mountain for the first time. I was mesmerized by the sheer beauty of it all. And I genuinely cannot wait to see this world fully polished with all the bells and whistles turned on eventually. If it's this stunning now, just imagine the final version of it. The second pro I would say is the combat. The combat is an absolute blast. It gives you that old school MMO vibe where if you stand still too long, you're pretty much signing your own death certificate. You have to watch your surroundings, plan ahead, and actually get involved. It's not just about button smashing. Let me just say this, the action mode for melee combat was an absolute thrill and amazing to play. Swinging a sword and smashing your enemies with like a mace or something just felt incredibly satisfying. Like you're actually, in the battle, paying attention to that guy and that guy. I mean, again, I had an absolute blast with the action mode on my fighter. I can't even count how many times I've seen people drop dead because they refuse to move out of the poison bubble as well. Classic MMO. I tried out the Ranger, by the way, at level 10. I also got my tank and fighter to the same level. And let me tell you, each of them felt a little different. With its own strengths and play styles, it's clear that every class is going to have its own place. And figuring out how to use them effectively is half the fun. Again, the combat to me was just amazing. Obviously, needs a little bit more polish, but so far, I'm very impressed with combat. The third pro I would say is honestly group play. Group play in Ashes of Creation is hands down some of the most fun I've had in any game. Once we formed a group that we all hopped on Discord and started exploring, it just turned into such a blast and fun game. We found underground caverns straight out of the Shanghai Redemption, like someone spent years digging holes in the walls. It was like a mix of awe and who the hell's been living down here? What really stood out is how each class has a distinct role to play. I main tanked during this phase and I really wanted to kind of get him up as much as I could. And let me tell you, it actually felt like tanking. Old school tanking where you're soaking up the damage while desperately hoping your healer doesn't decide to take a snack break mid-fight. Our healer kept me alive majority of the time. The bard kept the mana flowing, and our DPS, they just killed everything that moved. I mean, it was a great synergy between the classes. I really had a lot of fun with it. We were in Discord laughing, talking about the game, just having a great time, just having an amazing time. The teamwork honestly was great, and I cannot wait for everybody to get back on this Friday because we are going to attempt a really big boss. So it's definitely amazing to see how much fun the group play is. The fourth pro I would say is crafting. Crafting in Ashes of Creation is surprisingly enjoyable. Honestly, I can't even remember the last time I played a game where crafting mattered this much. It's not just a side activity, it's a core part of the experience. My advice to anybody in starting this game in alpha, start crafting at level 1 because it really pays off. Seriously, don't wait. And while you're at it, make some friends because you're going to need them. Crafting in this game isn't a solo venture. You'll be relying on others to help finish your products, and which adds a great sense of community. I'm genuinely excited to dive deeper into crafting. We already kind of assigned roles. I will be taking on the animal husbandry come December 20th because I'm really going to be invested in that. The fifth pro I would say is the skill trees. The skill trees in Ashes of Creation are without a doubt one of the best systems I've seen in gaming recently. They give you so many different options to truly play the way you want. For example, going on my tank here, want to be a straight up tank? No problem, I can do that. Prefer a more DPS oriented off tank? I can do that too. The customization is just insane of how many you can do per class. Not just class skills, by the way. You also have a weapon modification, stamina modification. The flexibility is just incredible. You're not locked into one play style. You can tweak, you can experiment to make your character fit exactly how you want to play. Honestly, I love it. It's a system that rewards creativity and makes every build feel a little bit more personal and feel like you. Again, I hope they keep it. I hope they don't change a single thing about it. The sixth pro is the social aspect of it. Let's talk about a social MMO vibe of the Ashes of Creation. This game practically forces you to work with others, and honestly, I'm here for it. I can only speak for myself here, but I've never been a fan of single player games. I live for MMOs and the multiplayer experience because I truly enjoy playing with other people. It's just for me, that's always been more fun. In Ashes, you really can go at it alone. Not right now in Alpha 2 anyway. Whether it's crafting, fighting, or even exploring, the game nudges you or maybe shoves you towards collaboration. Some players might not like that, but for me, it's a breath of fresh air. Teamwork makes the dream work, right? All joking aside, I do hope that they add a little element for solo players as well, but for me personally, I've always been more of a social MMO kind of player, so I enjoy this a lot. And the last pro, honestly, is the Intrepid development team. Let's give a massive shout out to the devs, guys. I've seen more feedback taken seriously by this theme than most live action studios right now, and this game is not even out yet. It's crazy, and honestly, I love seeing it. You can really tell that these guys care about making this project something very special. Last thing I'm going to say on this is from the first few days of Alpha 2, when I first got in testing it to this past weekend, the difference is honestly night and day. The servers have improved so much, it's almost hard to believe. These guys are working tirelessly to address issues and enhance experience and are listening to all of us, give them, our ideas and what's going on. And it's just incredible of how much progress has been made. It's proof to me that Ashes of Creation is in good hands, and things like this honestly make me believe even more in this project. All right, guys, let's dive into the cons now. And I want to be clear first, this is all meant as constructive criticism. I really enjoyed this game and I've been following it for many years. And I love it, but there are definitely areas that need a little work. And again, we're going to keep it at 100 here. The first con that I'm going to go over is the lag in combat. As much as I enjoy the combat in Ashes of Creation, I really do, the lag is a real problem. There are moments when I'm lining up to, hit a perfect strike on somebody, only for the game to lag out and poof, I'm the one who died instead. Or worse, the servers decide to take a coffee break mid fight, and when I log back in, I'm smack dab in the middle of about 30 mobs just looking at me like, hey, you're in the wrong neighborhood, punk. Again, you lag out, and you guessed it, I'm also dying right there and then. And what's worse than dying, you're also losing your materials. I've lost so many different things. Plus, on top of that, I'm at the point where I'm losing 3 to 5k XP per death. So it's a real bad lag issue right now. Now, I get it. It's alpha. I'm willing to give them a pass for it because, again, it is alpha, but this definitely needs to be addressed as soon as possible. Combat is such a highlight of the game, especially this game, and the kind of lag really takes away from the experience from a lot of players. Fingers crossed they tackle this sooner than later. I, again, genuinely hope they do fix it ASAP. The next con is the leveling experience. So let's talk about it because honestly, it needs some serious help. Right now, like this exact moment, is just too much of a grind. I'm hoping this is only because it's alpha and maybe the main quest isn't fully implemented yet, which might again get fixed, some of these issues down the line, but we're talking about right now. As it stands, it's tough to test everything when you're stuck grinding mobs for days or even weeks just to hit a certain level. It's like trying to climb a mountain with a spoon. I get that they're trying, they're aiming for a more old school MMO feeling, but, for at least alpha testing, it'd be great if they increase the XP gains a bit just to let us focus on testing content rather than farming endlessly. And let's not get it twisted, guys. That's literally what Ashes of Creation is right now in alpha. Majority of the players are just aimlessly hitting and killing mobs for XP. The quests aren't really there just yet, and again, I'll talk about it here in a minute. So, majority of the leveling experience that you're getting is just you and your friends out there killing mobs. And I don't even want to say what happens to you if you're a solo player, because then you can't really be, attacking those mobs efficiently. You're out there killing one thing at a time. It's going to take you months just to get level 10, which is, again, a bit too much for me, at least in alpha. The next con is the questing system. And let's talk about questing because it's definitely an area that needs a lot of improvement. The UI is clunky and really hard to navigate. The text often unclear. And the map, I really hate to say it like this, but it feels super low budget. It feels like something they just threw together in a rush. It's not exactly intuitive. And, I get it. This is alpha. But again, I really hope that I can bring light to it so they can be addressed to it, later on. The biggest issue, or the bigger issue, I should say, is that most people just have given up on questing entirely. Why? Because they're frustrating to follow, the directions are vague, and the XP rewards are so low that they're not even worth the effort. Why spend hours scratching your head over a quest when you can just go out and grind mobs, and that's faster and more straightforward, right? Again, I really hope they fix this because the questing in games shouldn't be a chore. It should be a rewarding experience. So again, I hope they fix this, and I know they will. The next con, and one of the bigger ones, honestly, is that this is not for the casual gamer. I've mentioned this before in one of my previous videos, but Ashes of Creation isn't exactly built or trying to be for casual play. During my time in Alpha 2 so far, I noticed that the more powerful Zerg-style guilds are dominating the best XP grinding spots, leaving the casual players to fend for themselves in the lower, less XP areas. Especially if you're if you're a solo player, you are not having fun right now. It's not just all about competition, folks. It's also about enjoyment, right? If a casual players feel pushed out or left behind, it could really take away from the overall experience of the game itself. While I get that Ashes is aiming for a more hardcore MMO vibe, there needs to be a way to balance this so everyone can also enjoy the game, whether they're putting in 10 hours a day or 10 hours a week. Again, I'm in my 30s now. I work, but I'm blessed that I can play from work sometimes. So I can put in more hours, but I feel terrible for people who can only play for a couple of hours. They're never going to get caught up. And I just feel that, in a game like this with so many cool things, there should be a way for them to also play this game and enjoy it without, falling behind, weeks or years before they could even catch up to somebody. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents on it. A lot of people have been messaging me from my community asking about the node system, and while I'd love to add it to either the pros or the cons, I just cannot. At least not yet. Right now, we haven't seen enough of it in action to really make a judgment. Most of the nodes in alpha aren't fully developed or touched, so the effects of the system haven't had a chance to really shine. Honestly, I think most of the players are so focused on leveling right now, they're not even touching anything else. And this goes back to what I said earlier. If the XP gains were increased, at least during alpha, more players could hit the higher levels faster, and we'd be able to properly test how the node system, impact the game. So for now, the node system, for me at least, is too early to tell category. Here's hoping we'll get more opportunities to see it in action very soon. Here's my conclusion for Ashes of Creation Alpha 2. I'm genuinely happy I got my hands on the game. Sure, it's not polished and there's still plenty of work to be done, but the potential here is undeniable. I truly believe this game is on track for release in the next 2 years. You can clearly see the devs' passion, their dedication to the game, and the world they're building. And honestly, I'm here for the ride. Thank you all so much for all the love and support. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give the video a like if you enjoyed the content. If there's anything specific you'd like to see in Alpha 2, let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to record it for you next week if time allows. I'll catch you folks in game soon. Take care, my friends.